Welcome everyone. We're here today with Caitlin Herbert, Director of Gunnermain Feedlot at Eugowra in New South Wales. And we're talking about the NFAS internal audit process. Now, a lot of small feedlots actually might find this process quite daunting and not really sure where to start. We often tell them that their audit report from the previous NFAS audit is a really good starting point for them, as it sort of documents what's happened at that last audit. Have you got a copy of your audit report with you? Can we sort of have a quick look at that?
Yes, Jeff, I do find that prior to the auditor coming out, one of the references I use to touch base is our previous audit report. And I find it easy to use because it does have this table at the beginning where I can see if there were any non-conformances in any areas that we did need to work on.
Yep. So how did you go at your last audit?
Fortunately, all compliant. So it's a little bit of a boring one for you to go through. Sorry, Jeff.
No, that's fine. So yeah, no corrective actions raised. For a lot of other feedlots out there, you know, your audit report from last year is a fantastic starting point. Any corrective actions, hopefully have cleared those out and finalised them. And if there are any of those sort of comments or general observations the auditors have made, then that's a good starting spot for you. So what do you do on an annual basis for your internal audits? Do you have a system that you've got in place?
Yes. As part of our internal audits, we use a spreadsheet. I found this the most user-friendly version, and I link the modules from each element. I use the modules from those, and then I take any notes from those modules. For example, QM1 training, we had changes from QA officers to statement of authority holders. So we had to update those names and complete the training for people who switched over.
Yep, so you've got that there as a task that you've completed.
Yes, and then I've put that one as compliant. So excellent. I've got a little key down the bottom here where C is conformity.
Yep, excellent. And so yeah, for each of the elements, for each of the modules, you've got those listed out there.
Yeah, and any minor non-conformances too, like we had an incident relating to food safety management FS5, so prep for dispatch of livestock. We had slips being reported from the truck drivers in our loading trub. This was after a significant rain event, so we filled out an incident report and added rubber matting to that area, so that area is now compliant. Yeah,
very good. So yeah, went through that process of identifying the issue and then making sure that you've got a record that it's been completed. Very good. And how often do you work through this process?
We do our internal audits quarterly. I know that in hand with these, you are meant to do your animal welfare audits 6 monthly. We tend to do them quarterly just so that we're not having to remind ourselves every 6 months, and it's just part of the process every quarter to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, you're more than meeting the requirements of NFAS. And so from that point of view, do you find that you're probably actually more critical of the operation than even the auditor?
I like to hope so. I like to already have the answers to the questions before the auditor asks them. It removes that pressure of the audit, and it also enforces accountability from our end too. We quite enjoy the forced accountability of it and making sure that we do the best job we can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good. And so this whole process, is it something that you do like over a number of days?
So we just run a compliance calendar, and we run it through Outlook, and that calendar is shared through all of the people who are involved in that process, and that calendar just pops a reminder up on our screen. I think it's once a fortnight or so, just saying update internal audit.
And again, that's another reminder for feedlots. The internal audit process shouldn't be seen as something that you need to sit down and do all in one go, but it's a process that happens over time rather than just sitting down and thinking, okay, today I've got to do my internal audit. If you actually involve other people in the process, so staff you've got there, or if it is a single person operation, actually work through it and do it over time, then you break it up into much smaller chunks and it's much more achievable. And it's just a matter then of actually allocating it and recording that. So for your system, you've got the calendar invite. For other feedlots, NFAS have got the internal audit poster that we've got. So that's a resource that's available on the NFAS website. And that has space for feedlots to actually be able to go in and put a date that they wish to achieve it by, and then also to be able to sign it off that it's complete. So, it's equivalent to your spreadsheet that you're putting here that other yards can use as quite a practical tool. So what sort of other things have you identified that you've corrected this in your last audit there, Caitlin?
So we did have an excessive heat load event that was in January 2024, and we did implement stage 1 of our heat load action plan.
Yep.
As everything went fine, our heat load ration was implemented, the vet was contacted, that was a conformity.
Yep. Excellent. No, very good.
Yes.
It's a great spreadsheet you've got there, and just that record keeping and that ability to be able to show that you've worked through each of the elements and tick them off is fantastic. So is there any other, I suppose, advice that you might have for small feedlots that are looking to do their internal audits?
I think just trying to write it down continuously and almost immediately is the best thing, because keeping things in the bank up here doesn't pay off that 12 months later when the auditor's sitting at the table.
That's one of the key things the auditor is going to be looking for in terms of your internal audit, is that it has been documented. So things have been documented. Yes, the auditor, when they come to do the NFAS audit, they'll inspect the property and how everything's operating, but they want to see that you've documented what you've done and you've checked all the areas. You've done your animal welfare audits, at least 2 a year, every 6 months, that you've checked your procedures and your policies, and you've recorded the fact that you've done all that. So no, a really good, simple, with a spreadsheet like this is a great way of doing it and keeping those records and keeping track for the auditor. Yeah, well done. Thanks, Caitlin.